Good evening, everyone. We'll get started in 2 minutes. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome into the building. Our first, I guess last year seniors were in the building, but our first welcoming meeting for families in the building since 2019, so this is really exciting for us. And just a show of how tech forward we are. We are now live streaming, hybrid meeting here, and we intentionally sent out the link late because we really wanted to encourage as many ninth grade families to be in the building for you to really get to see the real joy of this building, the spirit of this building. And so with that, how many of you, this is your first time in this building? Wow, great. How many of you went to school at Newton North High School? Woohoo! That's great. So I'll tell you a real quick story is that we are really excited about our new staff. And we, as you may know, in education, there's been a lot of turnover that's going on, and a lot of school districts are having a hard time hiring. We actually have done an amazing job hiring new staff, but we did have one of our counselors move to a new district in August, and we found a Newton North alum, Malika, who is a Newton North grad, and when we hired her, she was in tears because she had so much joy about being in this building. So for those of you who went to Newton North, maybe we have a Newton High School grad, but most of you probably went to Newton North. You know that the energy and spirit of this school is real. Wherever I go in the world, I end up bumping into a Newton North grad. So welcome. We are so glad you're here. This has been such a great start so far, and your students have been phenomenal. They have done so well transitioning to high school. And there's a lot to learn about high school. There's a lot that they've experienced over the last several years. They didn't really get to experience traditional middle school in a lot of ways. We learned that on the first day of school when during lunch, they really struggled with finding a seat because we realized this was the first time they didn't have assigned seating for lunch in their entire academic career. So they adjusted, they figured it out, and by second lunch, by the second day of school, they figured out that they could just sit wherever they wanted. There are, some things about high school that we are really think are important. We do think that high school is a time for students to really grow, to have some independence. Typically, we hear from our ninth graders that there is so much freedom here, and we also know that because of the last few years that's really more of a change for them than it has been for previous ninth grade classes. And so we're certainly monitoring that, and at the same time, we feel very strongly that we really want them to grow those independent skills, to support them, to allow them to make mistakes. They will make mistakes. I'm sure you already are well aware of that. For us to create a supportive environment for them to really spread themselves. And so I shared with them 3 things that I wanted them to do on the first day of school. The first one was that I wanted them to join a club and activity. The research shows that students who are more involved in school do better academically in school. So we want them to join a club, join an activity. Many of them may already be playing sports. Many of them may have already signed up for theater, which are 2 of the first big programs that really are looking for students. But over the next several weeks, we'll be having clubs at the cafeteria, in the cafeteria during lunch, having sign-ups for their club. So really encourage them to sign up for at least one club. We do have some more really ambitious students in the school, and so we want to certainly monitor how many clubs they are doing, but one club is certainly something we really want to encourage. The second recommendation I had for them is to ask a lot of questions. So they're new in the building, and we have a lot of trusting adults. We want them to build relationships with adults here. We have a lot of students in our older grades that we really are encouraging them to develop their leadership skills. They have guidance aides in all of their advisories who are juniors and seniors working with them. And what we know is that students who ask more questions are really curious and learn the skills of being able to ask questions. We really want them to ask questions. And finally, we want them to meet new people. So many of them they're all coming from different middle schools, whether it was Day or Bigelow, one of the other Newton middle schools, or from private or other parts of the state or other parts of the country or other parts of the world. And so we want them to meet new people. So as you'll see, Ms. Staus has been out for a period of time, and so I got to do the ninth grade welcome meetings to go over policies with them, and so I got to ask them my follow-up question, how many of them got to meet someone new? And about 3/4 of them said that they raised their hand. So that's really, really exciting that they're listening to their principal, but also, more importantly, that they are starting to stretch themselves. Today you're going to learn more about Newton North. You're going to get a lot of information. Please know that your counselors are here. They're here with you all 4 years to guide you through Newton North. So any questions you have, they will help you. So know that this isn't the only time you're going to get that information. I do want to give a couple of plugs. The first one is our porch side dining with our PTSO. You're going to hear more about that from our PTSO when they present. That's something that I highly recommend. It's our new version of a progressive dinner, and it was really popular. It's a great way to meet new people. And something that is a goal of mine this year is to help re-energize the participation of our families in this building. That's something that was pre-pandemic was really, really strong. And because people couldn't come in the building, it started to kind of taper off, and we really want to re-energize folks in terms of your participation. It's something that we want to encourage. It's not something we're going to shy away from. We really want you involved. And so Porchside Dining is a great way to get to know new people, to learn about our PTSO. I bring my wife. It's the one event of the year that she joins me because she finds it as fun, and she's far cooler than me, so you'll get to enjoy that. The second thing is our Families Organizing for Racial Justice is another family-run organization, and they are looking for people to be on the steering committee, and it's another organization that we really have a great relationship with. And so if that's something that you're interested in, I sent in the last newsletter an email to you about who you can sign up with. And so with that, I'm going to pass it over to my partner in crime, Amy Winston, Vice Principal.
So far, this is probably how you've gotten to know me, because it is one piece of my role, which is to send a lot of communication to students and families. Students think too much communication, but it is one piece of my role. So I'm here tonight to tell you a couple things, both about my role, to talk a lot about how we work together, and also to kind of give you a few operational things as you're thinking about the beginning of the school year. So Henry and I often say that he is like the Chief Executive Officer of Newton North, and I am the Chief Operating Officer of Newton North. My job really is around supporting both adults and students and making sure that they have everything that they need, working with logistics, communication, scheduling, but a huge amount of teamwork. We have a great team in this building. Our administrative team is amazing, and we really work together to support all of the educators in the building and all of your students. So with that, I remind you that the house office should always be your first point of contact. It really is your home for the 4 years you are at Newton North. You're actually really lucky because Riley House is the most conveniently located of the 4 house offices. So when you come, hopefully for back to school night next week, you'll see Riley House right there in the lobby of the main entrance of Newton North. So if you have a question, you need something, Leah and Michelle, Leah Castellano, the House Administrative Assistant, and your Dean are really your first points of contact. You know, you gotta drop off the trombone that your child forgot. My daughter's a trombone player. It's gonna go to the house office. You need to call for dismissal, attendance, all of those things. House office is your first point of contact. Henry talked a little bit about clubs. That information is really coming out to students via Schoology. All of your students are part of a Schoology group that includes all of our students at Newton North. That Schoology group has the attendance list each morning so that they know which teachers may or may not be in the building. It also includes all of our club information. And many of our clubs have started advertising their initial meetings, so there's a lot of information there for your students. I'd encourage you to encourage your child to read the weekly email. It's a lot of important information there, also good reference to be able to go back and find information. And of course, students can always come to the main office with questions. We have heard every question you can imagine. This afternoon it was a dead bird. So we deal with a lot. But students should always feel comfortable coming to the main office for anything they might need. And I'm just going to spend a minute talking a little bit about our schedule. You've heard a lot about it last spring. Your student is probably talking about it now. This week is our first normal, it's always in quotes, week at Newton North. Students experienced really their first Tiger Block this afternoon. Funny story, if you look at your student's schedule in Aspen, it says Tiger Block, Amy Winston. It says Wind Block, Amy Winston, as if all 2,100 students have me further on their schedule. There were freshmen who came to the main office this afternoon looking for me because my name was on their schedule, which goes back to Henry's point. Like, they're doing an awesome job. That was great. They were really relieved that they didn't have to spend the afternoon with me, but it was good. So, students this week are going to learn more about Wind Block. Next weekend in my weekly update, I will send you the videos that they're going to watch with their advisory this week to learn about Wind Block, which is a really exciting part of our schedule that we implemented in full last year. WIN is flexible time. It's really designed to support all of our students in lots of different ways, and it is required time on learning, meaning it's the one time of the school day, WIN and advisory, where every student in the building is expected to be somewhere. We consider it structured choice. Your students are going to learn a lot, and as Henry talked about, they do have a lot of freedom here and a lot of flexibility about how to make thoughtful choices of how to use their Wind Block time. Sometimes But there's a lot of opportunities for how they're going to use WIN to support themselves, as learners, social, emotionally, and successfully here at North. Use their WIN block time in the week ahead, because students do choose every Monday how they're going to use their WIN block to be a well-rounded North student in the week ahead. So 8 a.m. Monday morning, our WIN sign-ups open. We choose 8 a.m. because students have told us the large majority of them are awake at that point. And so trying to think about giving them all students equitable